YouTube, 345 here, and this is my review of the real grade Sazabi. Now, this kit just recently released earlier this month, and I believe there was a lot of hype around this kit. Everyone was excited to get one, or everyone was excited to see how it would turn out. It is safe to say that this kit turned out rather fine for real grade, and it is definitely the biggest real grade that we have at the moment. Don't believe me? Here is the real grade Shitnanju, and amazing, it didn't fall. And here is the real grade Unicorn Gundam in its unicorn form. Now, you may think that the Shitnanju is slightly taller than the Sazabi, but I'm judging by their head height. The Sazabi is definitely taller, and if you want to judge them by mass, there's a clear winner right there. The Sazabi is one huge real grade, and probably the biggest, no, not probably, it is the biggest real grade that we have right now. If I were to be so bold as to say that this is better than the Unicorn, in fact, no, I don't even have to be bold to say that. That is true in every sense of the word. It's fact. The Sazabi is the best real grade we have right now. I'm just saying it in terms of build-wise, engineering, and the thought that Bandai put into this kit. It is definitely the best. They put a lot of thought into this, and it is a very satisfying build indeed. So let's get directly into the looks of the kit. Let me bring it closer. Now you can see it has the basic red, which is basically everything, but it's a two-tone red. There is the bright red, and the slightly faded pinkish red, and the blacks for the boosters and the knee and all the other armor parts, the yellows for the details. So you notice the piping on the waist area, the lower torso, is a single plastic piece. So you can see the decals that they provided. As you can see, I placed the treble clef logo on the front skirt, along with the Char low insignia on the top there. I was actually supposed to place either the treble clef or the insignia, but I went ahead and placed both. So you can actually do whatever you want with that. There's a lot of things you can personalize. You can personalize this Sazabi. They give you a lot of decals, so you can do whatever you want. Looking at the back, we can see the rear skirt. So color separation, panel lines, and details are superb on this kit. So let's move directly to the articulation. Speaking of articulation, I'm sure most of you are aware of the shoulder gate that's been plaguing social media lately. The part where the shoulder breaks. So I found a problematic area, and that's at the torso, the connection between the torso towards the shoulder joints. There is a peg in the torso that plugs into the shoulder joint, and that peg happens to be a little bit tight. Not a little bit tight, it's very tight. The first time when I put it in there, I was struggling with it, and I knew that if I didn't do anything about it, when I'm going to move the shoulder, it's definitely gonna break like everybody else. So I decided to trim down the hole that the peg plugs into in the shoulder. The shoulder joints, the hole. I decided to increase the size to make it smooth. So do be careful if you're planning on increasing the size, like cutting away some plastic or drilling a hole. Do be careful when you do that. You don't want it to be too loose, otherwise the shoulder setup will detach from the body. And I believe Charlie 426, he added some lubricant. Yes, he added some lubricant, and it works fine for him. So you can actually fix this in a myriad of ways. You can either remove plastic or you can put your lubricant. The choice is yours. And that's not the only problematic joint. I noticed that the entire shoulder setup is very tight. Going on from the torso to the shoulder connector, the base connector, when you go up to another joint that goes into that base connector, that one is also very tight. You'll know what I'm talking about when you build this kit. When it's that part, when you're trying to push it in, your thumbs and your index finger are going to be really sore. You'll probably think that using a plier would be much beneficial to pushing it in, but I assure you the best way to get that in is with patience. Slowly push it in, and yeah, I don't think kids will be able to build this because that actually required a lot of hand strength to push that thing in. So do be careful with that. Don't force anything. The plastic in this kit, it's not brittle whatsoever. It's pretty good plastic. I haven't had any stretch marks on the plastic so far, but knowing plastic, if you force it into a direction where it's not supposed to go, it is going to break. So just be careful with that. Now enough of that, let's get on to the articulation of the kit. Let us start with the articulation of the head. First of all, the headpiece moves up and the face piece moves down to reveal the mono eye in the middle. Be sure to push these back up. Whoops. The head can turn a full 360 degrees without anything getting into the way. It moves forwards and back as such, and not much up and down movement. The torso, I think it's for the head articulation as well. As you see now, it is up, but if you push it down, you can get a wider range of motion for the head. That's it for the neck and head. The neck is definitely on a double ball joint, as you would suspect. Let's move on to the shoulders. Now for the shoulders, I think it would be much better if I remove the shoulder armor so you can see clearly as to how this shoulder works. I have to put in the hands for leverage. It's gonna be real hard to pull things out without the hand setup. So the shoulder goes out like that. That's the first joint that I was talking about, the one that breaks most often. And then there is a second joint that does this movement. I'm actually being very careful because I didn't put any lubricant or whatever. I just trimmed the plastic piece so I don't want to break it. So there, that's the second joint. And then the third joint in the shoulder setup allows for up and down movement, 360 rotation actually, if you get it into the right position. And then that's it for the shoulder. Then the arms rotate below the shoulder, and they also move up and down. Now this joint is also very stiff, so do be careful, do not break anything. I'll show you the shoulder armor articulation later once I get everything inside. There, everything goes inside fine and dandy. A double jointed elbow, which gives a good 90-degree bend. Now this part of the hand is very interesting. You can pull it out as so to reveal the inner frame and the silver decal over there. And once you do that, you can extend the wrist. And once the wrist is extended, just lock this back in place and it won't go in again. If you're trying to put the wrist back in, pull this part down and push the wrist inside and lock it back into place. Now the hands rotate around the wrist. There are two types of hands. Let me just get the other one. Now this open hand doesn't have any more articulation besides the ball joint at the wrist. But this one, this hand, the trigger finger hand and the closed fist, they have an extra joint over here which can bend as such. Oh, my camera doesn't want to focus on it. Let's move the Sazabi aside. Okay, so yes, this part, ball joint and another joint like a lever. This is for the up and down movement, and these are for the little armor pieces. So yeah, let's get back to the shoulder articulation. These armor pieces can be moved on freely. You can just rotate them or get them out of the way if you want. Then this part opens up for the gimmick. Yeah, just like the Master Grade version car. So pushing the shoulder piece up, you can get it up all the way as such, and you can have this one move as well. There's some nice detail on the inside, some thrusters there, and that's it for the shoulder armor. Now let us take a look at the torso articulation. Spoiler, there's not much. The torso is just connected onto a peg towards the waist, and that allows for rotation. And you have to get the armor parts out of the way first to rotate a full 360 degree. The side-to-side movement is in the skirt armor setup and the hip actually. I'm gonna show you anyway, so you can get that much side-to-side movement. Do notice that the skirt armor moves when you do that. Then the main setup for the skirt armor can open as such, moving the side skirts and the front skirts outwards, and you can lock them back into place. The front skirts move up as much as the other armor pieces and pipes would allow. They can be rotated outwards as such, and that's quite a lot of movement for front skirts actually. These side skirts, they go out as such, about that far, and rotate. You can push them up or down to your liking, and their lower parts can be collapsed or extended as such to reveal some nice detail. And there are thrusters as well. The rear skirt is very nicely detailed. I kind of like the color separation here, and it goes up and down as such, doesn't rotate. The side parts open up to reveal more detail and some shiny stickers. These are all gimmicks. That's it for the skirt armor setup. Now for the crotch pieces. This one opens up. This is actually the locking mechanism for the waist section. I'll get into that in a little while. The front crotch armor moves a little bit. I don't know what it's for, but it does move. If you want to rotate the body 360, you can just push it out of the way so it won't block anything. So now, this locking mechanism, this is what allows the legs to go. Okay, this is really hard. Go forward like that. And back again. So once you lock this into place, you can't move the waist section. So open it, push it forward, and if it's too far in front, you can't push this back in because there actually is a peg inside. So you gotta push it back slightly and lock it there, and it won't move. Pretty good, solid connection. While we're here, let us take a look at the hips. No, not the hips, the legs, the connector between the thigh and the hips. So this rotates 360 degrees below the hip connector. They move as such. It's really hard to focus, too many parts. and they go forward pretty far. I think I have to zoom out. Forward pretty far and backwards as much as the armor would allow. These connectors are very solid, so they're not as solid as the shoulders, but they're solid enough. You can keep the kit standing, no problem whatsoever. Let's move on to the knees. Double jointed knee, which reveals a lot of nice detail. A lot of part separation as well when you move the knees. Then the shin can be extended and it moves up and down. This is to accommodate for the articulation of the feet. The outside of the shin armor, calf armor can move out as such. You can move the boosters around. This is like, think of it like the Sinanju, but not as extravagant. Locks into place. And the thrusters here, you can push them in. That's about it. And that is about it for the lower leg. Let's go to the feet. The toes will go down and up as such. The feet will bend downwards. This part moves. You can move it up and down to emulate armor protecting the joints. The rear part moves up and down as well. It's like a little grip, really nice. The entire feet section moves side to side, very wide side to side, but there is no, oh there, sorry, it's a little tight. There's about that much forwards and that much back, and that's about it for the articulation of the actual suit itself. Let's move on to the backpack. Now this is the backpack with its signature funnel. I didn't want to attach it to the kit because I didn't want you to get distracted by the kit. It's gonna be really hard to see what goes on around. Nice detail on the backpack, on the front, the sides, and the rear. Very nice for a real grade indeed. And this goes up and down that much, goes out that much. And to deploy the funnels, you must first pull this part open. It's really stiff. Once it's open, you can push these apart and remove the individual funnels. Now I'll get to the funnels in a while. Let's move on to the rear of the backpack, where this part moves up to reveal another booster. And when you move this part up, the bottom part follows together, like there. Real fancy. The fuel pods, fuel rods, they rotate on a ball joint and wiggle. And that is about it for the backpack itself. Let us go to the funnel. Now the funnel is rather intricate for a 1/44 scale kit. You can push this part out and the blades will open just like that, and this nozzle part will come out. As you can see, this is the deployed funnel compared to a regular funnel. And if you want to put it back into regular mode, like not deployed mode, not flight mode, just take these two parts and hold on, let me get the camera focus, and squeeze them together. And that's it. Everything retracts. I'll show it to you once again. Just take your finger and push the bottom part of the funnel and everything opens up. Easy, real easy. These are the kind of gimmicks that make a kit real interesting. To the backpack again with the nice detail inside. You've already opened it. How do you close it? You close it by pushing these two parts together and locking back this mechanism and pushing these down. And there you have it. Then you can insert the funnels, no problems. There, the decals should be facing forward as the manual states so. And there, done. Let's move on to the accessories. Now you've seen how fancy this kit can be, let's take a look at his accessories with the beam shotgun first. Very nice red and black detail. And there's also a gimmick, like a real shotgun. There is this cocking mechanism at the bottom. Why there's a cocking mechanism on a beam rifle? Don't ask me, but it is hella cool. The magazine detaches and attaches. I have the hand on the rifle because I'm too lazy to remove it, but the handle moves as such. And if you look at the bottom, there is a shiny decal inside the cocking mechanism. This is a really nice rifle. So let's put it on his hand. First remove the other hand and bam. Well, not bam. Whoops. Hard. Do it on camera, and there it goes. In it goes. He's holding his beam shotgun. Nice. Next up, beam tomahawk. Look at this badass thing. Now they provide effect parts for the beam tomahawk and his beam sabers. These are the beam sabers with the beam effect parts. You have two. And the beam effect parts also connect into the, just like the Sinanju, the forearm beams. There's a little head for the beam saber that you put inside here in the forearm. Real easy to get them out. Here are the beam effect parts for the tomahawk. You have the short beam and the extended beam, just like the Sinanju, and you attach them real easily like that. Beam tomahawk. They provide two of each of the effect parts, so do what you wish. Here is the trademark, the Sazabi shield. Looks really nice with a lot of detail. Articulation wise, this one goes up and down to adjust the height of the shield, and it has a spot for the beam tomahawk. There are two spots actually. One, lower one, you have to remove the rockets and attach the beam tomahawk as such, and you can add the effect parts just like the Sinanju. Real fancy. Remove the effect parts, and the other one is up here where you slide it in and lock it into place. Let's see if I can no, probably not. You can't fit in the beam effect parts if it's that high above the shield. And it connects to the forearm with this connector, which goes into this hole, these three holes over here, and bam, it's got a shield. So that is it for the Sazabi. Let's see what else you get. You get two open hands for both hands, left and right. Two closed fists. And two beam saber wielding fists. I'm so sorry. You actually have to open them and plug them into the peg like that. Very secure. Beam saber wielding fist. A little 144 scale Shar Aznable in his political army getup. You obviously have to paint this. He looks like a spooky meat covered individual. And this is the action base connector at the bottom, which goes in as such. Very nice. I'm just gonna leave that there. So that is it for the Sazabi. Why is my camera not focusing? It's focusing on the shield. Hold on, let me turn this. So that is it for the Sazabi. It is a very nice real grade. Overall, I am very satisfied with the kit, and it was a no-brainer to have bought this kit. So I hope you liked the review. Do subscribe to my channel, give a thumbs up. If you liked the video, give another thumbs up if you didn't like the video. And basically just stay tuned for more videos. I do plan on making more reviews now. So I hope to see you guys soon. Goodbye.